The world was still shrouded in a quiet morning mist as a young boy in a wheelchair stared in disbelief at the custom-built tricycle before him. It gleamed with fresh paint, shining like a promise in the pale light. A tall man in a leather riding jacket stood beside it, helmet tucked under one arm and a gentle smile on his face. Ethan's breath caught. Was this a dream? 9-year-old Ethan reached out a trembling hand to touch the handlebar. It felt solid and cool beneath his fingers. His mother stood on the porch behind him, one hand clasped over her mouth in shock. The stranger knelt down to meet Ethan's eye level and said softly, "It's all yours." Ethan's eyes instantly flooded with tears. "F for me?" he whispered, barely audible. The man nodded and gently guided Ethan's hands onto the handlebars. For a moment, Ethan was too overwhelmed to speak or move. Then, slowly, a radiant smile spread across his face, a pure, joyous smile he hadn't shown in a long time. The man's own eyes glistened as he gave a small nod. Before Ethan or his mother could find any words, he patted the boy's shoulder, stood up, and took a step back. With one last warm smile, he turned and walked away, disappearing into the thick morning fog as quietly as he had appeared. Ethan blinked, trying to see through the haze. He wanted to shout "thank you," but his voice caught in his throat. The only reply was the soft rumble of a motorcycle starting up in the distance. As the first rays of sun filtered through the fog, Ethan realized this was not a dream. The custom tricycle was real and solid under his touch, and the kind stranger, who had slipped away without even giving his name, was real too. Who was he? And why would a complete stranger give such a gift and simply vanish? If you believe that a single selfless act can change someone's life, you're not alone. Stay with us, because this story is just beginning, and its message might restore your faith in humanity. Don't miss what happens next. For 9-year-old Ethan Parker, afternoons brought a mix of joy and longing. From his front yard on Maple Street, he watched neighborhood kids race by on their bicycles, their laughter echoing in the air. He loved seeing them happy, but each glimpse was a painful reminder of what he was missing. Born with a spinal condition that left his legs paralyzed, Ethan had never felt the rush of pedaling down the street with the wind in his face. Still, every day he dreamed that someday he might ride free like the others. Most evenings, Ethan sat by the picket fence with his mom, Lily, at his side. He'd smile and wave as his friends zoomed past. They always waved back. Everyone in the neighborhood adored Ethan, but once they disappeared around the corner, his grin would fade into a wistful gaze. Lily noticed the longing in her son's eyes. At night, she sometimes found him in his room turning his wheelchair wheels, pretending he was on a bike. More than once, she heard him quietly making vroom noises, imagining a grand adventure on the open road. Lily's heart ached. She wished more than anything she could give him that simple joy other children took for granted. One crisp autumn afternoon, Ethan's ears perked up at the familiar rumble of a motorcycle. A gleaming black bike rolled up to the stop sign at the end of the street. The rider was a tall man in a leather jacket and helmet, the same biker Ethan had seen many times before. Ethan's face lit up. He adored motorcycles almost as much as bicycles. Whenever this rider passed by, he would give Ethan a friendly wave or nod. To Ethan, those small gestures felt special, like the man understood him somehow. That biker was Michael Reynolds, a successful entrepreneur known around town as the Millionaire rider. Semi-retired and free-spirited, Mike spent his mornings on his motorcycle, feeling the wind and clearing his mind. He often gave back to the community in quiet ways, donating to schools or hospitals without ever announcing his name. But the day he noticed the little boy in the wheelchair by the fence, something in him shifted. Mike remembered when his own younger brother had spent months in a wheelchair after a bad accident. Though his brother eventually recovered, Mike never forgot the pain of seeing someone he loved feel trapped. So when he saw Ethan's eyes light up at his motorcycle and then cloud over with sadness as the boy watched his friends ride away, it tugged hard at Mike's soul. He began taking the Maple Street route more often, just to pass by Ethan's house. Each time he'd lift a gloved hand in a wave, and each time Ethan's face would burst into an excited grin. One evening, Mike noticed Ethan alone in the yard, intently studying a picture of a shiny red bicycle in a magazine. The boy traced the image with his finger, hope and sorrow mingling on his face. Mike's heart clenched. He knew he couldn't heal Ethan's legs, but maybe he could help the kid feel the freedom he longed for. In that moment, Mike made a decision. He would give Ethan the chance to ride. That very night, Mike retreated to his garage workshop, a familiar smell of motor oil in the air. Under the glow of a single lamp, he sketched out a design. A sturdy tricycle with a high back support, safety straps, and hand pedals instead of foot pedals. He imagined Ethan steering with his hands and propelling himself with arms strong from years of pushing a wheelchair. Mike's heart pounded with excitement as the idea took shape. This would be Ethan's bike, built from the ground up just for him. Mike knew he'd need some expert help to make it perfect. He picked up the phone and called his friend Carlos, who ran a custom bike shop in town. "I need to build a special bike for a special kid," Mike explained. The moment Carlos heard about Ethan, he agreed without hesitation. Together, they started gathering parts and planning the build. They were about to create something amazing. And what Mike didn't realize was that this single act of kindness was about to set off a chain reaction far beyond his imagination. Sometimes a small spark is all it takes to light up someone's world. Have you ever seen a simple act of kindness snowball into something bigger? Share your story in the comments. Mike and Carlos worked night after night in the bike shop, determined to bring the vision to life. Sparks flew as they welded the frame, and the sound of clanking tools echoed into the late hours. They built the tricycle with a strong yet lightweight frame, a comfy seat with secure straps, and hand pedals perfect for a child to turn. There were a few hiccups along the way, but after 2 weeks of hard work, the custom trike was finally complete. Painted bright sky blue with red stripes, Ethan's favorite colors, it looked like a dream on 3 wheels. Early in the project, Mike let Lily in on the secret so she wouldn't be alarmed. When she first saw the half-finished trike in the workshop and realized what Mike intended, she burst into tears of gratitude. She never imagined a neighbor would care so much for her son. With Lily's blessing and input, they planned the perfect way to surprise Ethan once the bike was ready. That day came on a misty Saturday morning. Lily wheeled Ethan outside in the cool dawn air under the guise of watching the sunrise together. Ethan was puzzled. This was not their usual routine. As he looked around, a figure emerged from the fog. It was Mike, and beside him he was rolling a bright blue tricycle with Ethan painted in white along the side. "Good morning, Ethan," Mike called gently, coming to a stop in front of the wide-eyed boy. I have something for you." He gestured to the trike. Ethan's jaw dropped. He recognized the friendly biker, but now Mike wasn't on his motorcycle. He was offering Ethan a bike of his own. Is that for me?" Ethan gasped, scarcely believing his eyes. Mike nodded, his smile as warm as the glow of the morning sun. "It's all yours, champ," he said softly. Lily had to remind her son to breathe. With shaking hands, Ethan reached out and touched his name painted on the frame. A delighted sob broke from Lily's throat as she helped him out of his wheelchair and onto the tricycle's seat. Mike showed him how to buckle the safety strap around his waist. Ethan gripped the hand pedals, heart pounding. For a second, he just sat there, overwhelmed. "Go on," Mike encouraged, his voice gentle. "Give it a try." Ethan pushed the hand pedals forward. The bike rolled an inch. His eyes went wide in astonishment. He pushed again, harder this time. The tricycle began to glide down the sidewalk. Ethan let out a shout of pure joy. "Mom, I'm riding! I'm really riding!" he yelled, laughter spilling from his lips as the cool morning air rushed against his face. Lily jogged beside him, one hand hovering behind the seat, tears of joy streaming down her face. She couldn't stop laughing and crying all at once. Mike stayed a few paces back, his boots crunching on the dewy grass, watching with a proud grin as Ethan found his balance and confidence. The boy, who had only ever watched others ride, was now doing it himself. After a short spin down the block, Ethan turned the trike around and came back, breathless and beaming. "Thank you, Mr. Mike," he said, voice quivering with gratitude and disbelief. Mike felt a lump in his throat as he ruffled the boy's hair. "You did it, buddy. I'm so proud of you," he managed to reply. As mother and son embraced in the golden light of the new morning, Mike took a step back. Never one to seek the spotlight, he gave them a final little wave. Then, as quietly as he had arrived, he slipped away toward his motorcycle, which was parked under a tree. Moments later, the familiar rumble of Mike's bike faded into the mist. He left without fanfare, his heart full from the sight of Ethan's radiant smile. Little did Mike know, that magical morning was just the beginning. A neighbor across the street had witnessed the entire scene and recorded it on her phone. By afternoon, a short video of a mystery biker giving a wheelchair-bound boy his dream bike was circulating online. The touching footage tugged at heartstrings everywhere. By nightfall, it had gone viral on social media and even appeared on the local evening news. Everyone was asking, who was this generous stranger? Mike was startled by all the attention. He hadn't told anyone except Carlos and Lily what he'd done, yet now his phone buzzed incessantly with messages. Friends recognized him in the news clip despite the helmet and called to congratulate him. Online, thousands of people reacted with comments and shares. One comment in particular caught Mike's eye. "No child should be left out. Let's all chip in and get more kids' bikes like this." Others echoed the sentiment, asking how they could help make that happen. Reading those words, Mike realized that what he'd done for Ethan touched a universal chord. So many people out there wanted to help. They just needed someone to lead the way. Mike's mind raced with possibilities, and a new idea sparked to life. That night, Mike sat down at his computer. With the viral video of Ethan open on the screen, he began to set up a crowdfunding campaign. Its mission was simple: raise money to build or buy adaptive bikes for other kids like Ethan who dreamed of riding. He felt a thrill of hope. This could be so much bigger than just one bike. He was about to ignite a movement of generosity far beyond one neighborhood. If you want to see how one act of kindness can grow and change countless lives, stick around and make sure you're subscribed for the next chapter of this story. Within days of launching the Wheelchair to Wheels crowdfunding campaign, donations began flooding in. Mike set an initial goal of a few $1,000s to build more bikes, but the public's response blew past that number almost immediately. Strangers from all over donated what they could, from $5 to $500, each with a message saying how Ethan's story had touched their hearts. In a week, the fundraiser soared into the tens of thousands. Mike was amazed as he watched the totals climb higher and higher. It was clear that Ethan's single ride had inspired a wave of generosity that no one saw coming. With the newfound funds, Mike and Carlos got busy again, and this time they weren't alone. Other local mechanics and volunteers showed up, eager to lend a hand after hearing the story. Adaptive tricycles and wheelchairs were ordered and customized one by one. Mike worked with therapists and experts to tailor each bike to the child who would receive it. The list of kids who longed to ride kept growing as news of the project spread. But now, thanks to hundreds of kind donors, there was money and momentum to meet the need. Over the next few months, dozens of children across the region got a life-changing surprise, just like Ethan did. One of them was a 7-year-old girl with brittle bone disease who received a purple trike built to support her delicate frame. When she pedaled down her driveway for the first time, her father cheered and wept with joy. In another town, a teenager who had lost the use of his legs grinned ear to ear as he raced his siblings on a new hand cycle. Each new bike delivered brought scenes of laughter, tears, and triumph. The story continued to spread and the community of helpers kept growing. What started with one anonymous biker had become a local movement. A few months later, Mike organized a big meetup at the city park for all the kids and families involved. Under a warm afternoon sun, dozens of children on their adaptive bikes formed a cheerful parade, ringing bells and whooping with delight as neighbors and volunteers applauded. Parents watched with tears in their eyes as their children, once left on the sidelines, now zoomed around with confidence. Lily stood among them, beaming with pride as she saw Ethan leading the pack on his blue tricycle. When everyone gathered for a short speech, Mike kept it humble. Standing in front of the crowd with Ethan at his side, he thanked all the donors, mechanics, and supporters for making this dream come true for so many kids. "This wasn't just me," he said firmly. "It was all of us. It was you." The crowd erupted in cheers. People shouted his name in gratitude, but Mike gently redirected the praise back to the community and the children. After the applause died down, little Ethan tugged on Mike's jacket and said, "Thank you for helping me, and for helping all of us." Mike knelt down and hugged the boy warmly. "Thank you for inspiring me, buddy," he whispered. In that moment, Mike realized that the happiness he felt outweighed any business success or personal thrill he'd ever known. In the end, one millionaire rider's act of kindness had grown into something extraordinary. Mike's simple gift to one child set off a chain reaction of goodness, proving that generosity can indeed become a movement when one gift inspires many. The world around them had been brightened, one tricycle at a time, and it all began with a little boy's dream and a stranger who cared enough to make it come true.